सहनावतु सहनो भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै शांति शांति शांति.
The Ashtavakra Gita is not merely a scripture which provides us with theoretical explanations of the concepts of our spirituality, but it is a scripture that also guides us practically step by step through the process. And even after having understood the process, it rechecks and confirms through a feedback system that if the disciple has truly understood the lessons and assimilated it, or it's just a theoretical, superficial, intellectual understanding. So, here onwards, as the chapters keep moving, you'll see in some chapters Ashtavakra would speak, then Janaka would respond to it. Again, Ashtavakra would say a few things, and Janaka would again respond in affirmation that he does understand what Ashtavakra is trying to ask. He does appreciate all these ideas and concepts that he has learned so far, and not merely as an intellectual understanding, but as complete knowledge, Purna Jnana. Purna Jnana means with the experience of it. Till a baby or a child puts its own finger in the fire, it would never know that that fire burns. Even if the parents tell it burns and it is dangerous to put your hand in the fire, yet till once at least the child must burn its finger to know that it really burns. And if it's wise, then it won't repeat the behavior. Whereas if it's otherwise or unwise, it would again go and put its finger in the fire. So Janaka has learned that this world is illusory, and running after the attractions of the world is like chasing shadows, chasing a mirage, or insisting that the magic must turn into reality, or the dream must manifest in reality. None of this is possible. So he has understood it thoroughly. We also have understood this, but still, when we go back, we do run after relations, we do run after our own ideas, emotions, our ambitions, our desires. And when they are fulfilled, then we become happy, and when they are not fulfilled, we become sad, like the two birds on the tree. Like the lower bird, we go on behaving. For a few days, we are up the upper bird, and then again we hop down to the lower branches, and again we are the lower bird, which goes on chasing after joys and sorrows in this world. But for Janaka, it is once for all. He is not going to revert to the original state of, or the earlier state of shifting between this and that. For him now there is only one steady state of existence. That existence is his own true supreme consciousness, in which now he dwells. That is how he explains that I am aham eva aham astitaha. I have become steady and established in this state, and there is no more fluctuations for me. There is no more going back and forth. And that is the idea that Janaka is having Purna Jnana. He is confirmed in his knowledge, and the knowledge has turned into practical wisdom for him because he is able to appreciate and behave accordingly. Yesterday we saw some of the shlokas. The last shloka was that his love for all these senses has diminished now. Pritya abhavena shabdadehe. All his desires for the senses and all is now over. He is no more interested in the pleasures of the senses. Adrishyattvena chatmanaha. It disappeared. He has transcended it. Senses won't disappear. You can't wish your eyes, nose, ears, and mouth and hands and all to disappear. No. The idea is that the desire for it has disappeared. He has transcended it. Many people look at the sannyasis and those who are vairagis and wonder, how is it possible to live like that? Similarly, the vairagis wonder, how is it that these worldly people are able to live like this? Continuously swinging between the joys and sorrows. They should be fed up one day, isn't it? So both look at each other with some kind of surprise. Then how come a sannyasi can be like this? Doesn't want a home, doesn't want family, does not want clothing, doesn't want any luxury, is not even bothered whether he has food to eat or place to stay or what will happen tomorrow. None of these things bother the sannyasi. Swami used to say, fakir ko fikar kya? The one who has become a fakir, a mendicant, a monk, a renunciate, a recluse, such a person, where is fikr? Fikr means worries. Where is the worry of tomorrow? Where is the worry of even today or even now? They just live according to the motions of life. Whatever life brings, they are happy with that. Mirabai says, करना फकीरी तो क्या दिलगिरी सदा मगन में रहना जी कोई दिन हाथी तो कोई दिन घोड़ा कोई दिन पैदल चलना जी. When you have become a fakir, you have become a renunciate, a monk, a dispassionate, detached person from this world. Now, where is the worry for anything? Where is the need for one to invest one's emotions? Dilgiri. Dil lagane ki kya zarurat hai? Why should one get emotionally invested in anything of the world? Because he knows all this is transient and temporary. Koi din hathi. One day you may get to ride an elephant. People will respect you, put you on an elephant and take you around the place. Koi din ghoda. One day they may take you on a horse. And third day you might have to just walk barefoot. Whatever be the situation. What is the problem? There is no problem for a renunciate. Such a person is ever satisfied. Nitya triptaha. He is ever satisfied. Atmanyeva atmanatushtaha. He is happy within himself. So whatever comes his way is okay. And doesn't complain and cry. Does not insist upon things to be different than what they are. That is why the other day I was telling, when I say be happy, people think, oh, that's a blessing. Be happy means now onwards I will always be happy. Nothing will go wrong and everything will be as per my wish and favorable to me. No, be happy is not a blessing, it is a command. That you better be happy whatever happens in life. Be happy. It's a command. And that command means the devotee must rise to these levels of Janaka Maharaja, where he can be happy despite whatever happens in one's lives. And that is the effort of Ashtavakra Gita. He's teaching us how to be happy because every time he says, Astitaha, I am satisfied, I am settled, I am confirmed in this, and I am established. I am not fluctuating anymore. It's like firmly rooted now. Astitaha, firmly rooted. I do not shake anymore. That understanding, even Janaka is quoted in Bhagavad Gita by Sri Krishna about how karma yogis live in this world, how yogis live in this world. He said, Loka sangraha mevapi astitah janakadayah, he says. Astitah uses this word there also. For the sake of the betterment of all, for the welfare of all, these people like Janaka, who are established in the self, they work in the world. Not for their own sake. They just work for the sake of Loka sangraha, means for the welfare of all. They have no desire of their own. Astitaha, they are established in the self, yet they act on the outside for the betterment of all. They have no desire. Like who, which people, because you would ask, do such people exist? Are there any examples? In Bhagavad Gita, Sri Krishna gives the example of Janaka. The Janaka is one such example. So this Janaka is telling, I am astitaha, I am established, firmly rooted in the self. And so all the desires for the lower things have disappeared. It's like when you grow up, you don't desire for those toys that you were playing with when you were a kid. But when you were a child, that was your life. Somebody touches your toy and you will turn the world upside down. So their dolls, their toys, their things. Imagine if I tell him, you know, when you were small, you were stealing things from shelves and cupboards and hiding under the cot. And nobody knew where things were going. Suddenly we'll wake up and say, combs are not there on the mirror shelf. And spoons are missing from the kitchen, tumblers, ladles, shoes were missing. So nobody knew who is taking all this because nobody suspected a 3-4-year-old fellow can do things like that. That's why Janaka said, it's such horrible things in the past. Is it using this body, mind and speech? Oh my goodness, can't believe. But now I am no more like that. I am an educated person. I am a whatever doctor or whatever. I do not need all those silly things. But in those days they mattered. Somehow he felt that was his wealth. Likewise our minds are. They evolve with time. They evolve with time. And we, those who are so interested in some of these petty, paltry things of the past, we overcome them over a period of time. So when you as grown-ups also come and say, I'm so sad, that person does not love me anymore, or my children don't listen to me, oh, my business is not going well, my friends have deceived me. When some people cry like that, I look at them as children, because they're still to grow. Yes, they have grown from such very petty things like toys and spoons and their favorite plates and tumblers, but they have still not grown out of these attachments of my body and my children, my family, my relations. They will grow out of this also at some point in time. We keep growing. So for a jnani, he looks at the world as a place full of children who have their own idiosyncrasies. They do their own thing. You can't explain why they do that, but they do that. But the jnani sees it from an objective point of view. He knows they're all work in progress. Tigrit often says that I'm a work in progress. So that is what is happening to all of us. We are all on the path. Some are ahead, some are behind. But how do you know how ahead you are? Lesser desires, lesser attachments, more peace, more equanimity. That is the proof that you are getting closer to the goal. Otherwise, there is no other way to measure our own spiritual progress. You should be astitaha. You should become established in the truth, and you should not fluctuate. So he says, I have given up all these ideas of small, small things, and my desire for senses and pleasures of the world is diminished. And my hridaya, ekagra hridaya, I have become focused now. Otherwise, my attention was scattered. Something excites me, I run behind that. Then something else, then I run behind that. Then from there, something else. They are so distracted. But now I am focused because I don't run behind anything. I am here. Whatever comes by virtue of deeds of the past or by divine grace, daiva daiveti nishchayaha, whatever comes by virtue of my fate, I accept it and I am happy. I am not running behind anything. It's coming to me as it's supposed to be. So that is the idea. The next shloka is another very nice shloka. We have learned this concept, but these are all like revisions as I mentioned last time. Shloka number 3 on page number 124. It says, समाध्यासादिविक्षिप्तौ व्यवहारः समाधये एवं विलोक्य नियम एवमेवाहमास्थितः. Samadhyasadi vikshiptau. Samadhi is one part and vikshipta means not in samadhi, deviated from samadhi. Samadhyasadi, all kinds of samadhi. Adi means all kinds of samadhis. Have we learnt about different types of samadhis so far? We've learnt, right? There is Savilkalpa Samadhi, when you meditate and you get into that state of steadiness. Then we have a Nirvikalpa Samadhi, that you get it when you get a shock or something, or automatically happens to you. And then Sahaja Samadhi, which is natural existence in the state of equanimity. Samadhi is equanimity. It is not a state where your eyes are rolled up and you are smiling to yourself and you don't know what's going on around you. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about equanimity, the astitaha bhava. That bhava can happen 3 ways. One, you put efforts and you get it. One, it suddenly comes to you without efforts on its own. Third, you're always in that state. You're not going in and out of it. So he says, Samadhyasadi vikshiptau. Of all samadhis in which I went or I did not go, and vikshipta means when I was not in samadhi. What are all these things? Vyavharaha samadhaye. All these samadhis come out of one's effort or behavior. That's all behavioral only. Even Sahaja Samadhi is saying it's a behavioral aspect only. All samadhis, especially Savilkalpa, Nirvikalpa, are behaviors. I don't consider it more important than that. Look at the whole world is running behind attaining samadhi and enjoying samadhi and all that. He says, fine, samadhi also will happen. If it doesn't happen also, it's fine. Because the one who is established in the self, these are also passing things. They come and go. One moment you are in great peace and equanimity because you practice meditation and you feel good. Next moment some trouble comes, you are out of it and then you struggle with it. Then you go back again. And this going in and out is something that I am not even bothered now. I know this is just because of whatever activities I do or whatever efforts I put. This is all the activities are directed either towards attaining samadhi or maybe not being able to attain samadhi. This I evam vilokya, this I have analyzed and seen thoroughly what is happening around me. Niyam eva. And this I have understood this is the rule, this is the discipline. In this manner, I have established myself. What is the discipline? Analysis is the discipline. You might be thinking discipline is behave well and attain samadhi. He's saying, no. I have analyzed this, that the samadhi or non-samadhi states are also behavioral issues only. In a very pure feelings you have, that day you are blissful. The next day you have some not so pure feelings, you are losing all your bliss. So these are dependent on my behavior. I have understood that, analyzed that I am beyond these things. If there is any fluctuation, then it cannot be the self, isn't it? If there is in and out, then it can't be the self. It has to be one steady state of existence. Astitaha, in that he is established. So he says that running behind the world and senses in the previous shloka, also I have given up. And now he says running behind, going into samadhi and attaining samadhi and enjoying samadhi, that also I do not want. That idea is also gone. Like we heard the story of Hemachuda and Hemalekha from Tripura Rahasya. When he marries this young, beautiful damsel, the prince, because he is enamored by her beauty, she nevertheless marries. But she is a wise girl because she was raised by a sage, a Jnani, Vyagrapada. And so when she is married to this prince, prince is trying to enjoy her as a wife. And when he is so involved with her, she hardly shows any interest. And he feels she is not responding to all my love and affection. Is there something wrong with me or is there something wrong with her? So after a few days, he becomes restless and asks her, is there something wrong with me? What is that is not making you enjoy this marital life, the life of the princess? She says, the joys that you talk about are the joys that even an insect in the excreta enjoys. Aharam, nidra, bhayamaitunam cha, samanyametat pashubhir naranam, food, sleep, fear and procreation. These are all common to animals and humans. What are you trying to enjoy me for? Like an insect only, she tells this way. It's in an insect inside the excreta also enjoys the same pleasures as what you are trying to enjoy. Maybe in a more sophisticated way you are enjoying. That's it. He gets a shock. How can she think of me so lowly? But she says, that's how I think of these pleasures of the body and the mind. Beyond that, I don't give importance. He cannot understand why she does like that. But it really sets him thinking. And he thinks and goes through tremendous turmoil in his mind and thinks, yes, the pleasures that I seek of the body and the mind are the pleasures that animals and insects also seek. I'm a prince, I'm a man, so what is difference? What is the difference? So he goes back to her and says, please teach me. What is that you are trying to drive home? And she then explains to him the idea of the self, which is beyond body and the mind. And listening to her discourse, he starts contemplating on that idea. He really takes it seriously. He's a good disciple. And then he goes in a seclusion and then he starts meditating on it. And it seems when he meditates, suddenly there is bright light, a lot of joy and bliss he experiences. The next moment there is darkness everywhere and he feels scared. Then he sees a lot of dreams and visions. And then suddenly he goes to sleep like we do. Because he is not having any control over anything. He's just getting those experiences. He's a new meditator, so he doesn't even know what's going on. So he gets very worried. Then he goes to her and asks, I have experienced all these things. Suddenly there was bright light and a lot of joy. Suddenly there was darkness and fear. Then there were visions and dreams. And then I slept off. She says, all this is not samadhi, all this is not the real experience of the self. What I am talking about is beyond all these things, because any changes is not the self. Self is changeless. Then she explains. With that, she says, the gap between two thoughts, that's where you should dwell. The gap between the two thoughts, that fraction, that's where you should dwell. So he tries to dwell on that. Of course, he experiences some kind of a joy. And then he opens his eyes after some joy. I believe he built a 9-story tower and was sitting on the top floor because he didn't want anybody to disturb him and all that. Some extremists are there like that in spirituality. The moment I say you should be on the spiritual path, shall I shave off my head tomorrow? Shall I change my clothes to ochre? Shall I take up a begging bowl? I said, no, none of this is required. But some extremists are there, spiritual extremists. So he became like that out of excitement, went and sat on a tower and was not seen. So she went up there to look at what happened. He was surrounded by nice pillows sitting in between and meditating. So she says, what did you experience now? He says, I experienced so much of joy, so much of bliss. I can't even explain to you. Please allow me to be in this state. Then this girl says, the wife, why? Why you have to be opening and closing your eyes to be going to samadhi or come out of samadhi? The man starts preaching the girl, the wife, you knew that such a state existed, such a blissful state existed. You knew that, yet you were engaging in all these worldly things. Ulti Ganga. He is telling his wife, you should not have ever married me, and why were you even involved with anything? You should have been in this state. Now that I know that, I pity you. She laughs, smiles at his foolishness and replies, what is this state which goes in and which you go in and come out from, which depends on an inch of your aperture of the eye? When your eyelids open, you lost that state. When your eyelids close, you attain that state. What kind of true bliss is this? Here in this page, the story is there. There is some mistake in, she is telling this to him, that what is the use of that state where eyes open and close, and that's how you get into samadhi. You know, the sentence is written the other way around, as if he is telling her, but it's not true. So you correct that. Nevertheless, the idea is that that samadhi which depends on closing and opening of the eyes, that samadhi which depends on you getting into a forest and sitting in a cave, that samadhi which depends on you running away from the worldly chores and your responsibilities, that samadhi which demands such tremendous austerities that you turn into only a bone and what you call a skeleton, without eating, without sleeping, without resting. What is the use of such samadhi, is Janaka is saying. All this running behind samadhi and feeling bad after losing it, none of this is true. You should be in that state of steadiness wherever you are, as you are. I have attained that, he says. Because before Ashtavakra, Janaka had many gurus. Yajnavalkya was his guru and so many more. And for years he has been doing a lot of yajna yagas and rituals and collecting a lot of gurus in his court and learning from all of them. But nobody was so straightforward as Ashtavakra, who called spade a spade, saying, Janaka, all this is not necessary. In the previous books we have seen that he straight away, in a way, he kind of shocks Janaka by saying, none of this was necessary, what you did so far. Oh, years I have spent doing all these things. It wasn't necessary? No, it wasn't. So Janaka is understood now, saying that all that pursuit of that state of samadhi, that blissful state of supreme existence, and the behavior that I was putting up for the sake of attaining it, all this is not my botheration anymore. Because I have understood that is also fleeting, it comes and goes. I am in the steady state of the self. In a way, this is called Sahaja Samadhi in the higher state, or I call it Jivan Mukti. So I am a Jivan Mukta now, I am free from all these encumbrances and ideas and illusions of doing and not doing. So I am in that state. He is so happy that he says that I have become so steady in my understanding and experience. Because all the time Ashtavakra is checking the nail, shaking the nail and checking. Have you got it right? Have you got it right? Like that. And he says, yes, this time I have really got it right. And that is how he has been able to explain it to his guru. Some people may say, when he is in such a state, what is the need to explain and all? This is a poetry. Let us not stretch it too far. It's a poetry, it's a conversation for our sake. You ask these questions to yourselves, no? Have I overcome the desire for the sense and the pleasures of the senses? Even overcome the desire to attain samadhi and experience the bliss. Recently somebody wrote, I am not able to meditate in this place. This is too busy. Please allow me to leave the ashram and go somewhere else and meditate. I don't know what to tell him. I said, if you can't meditate here, you think you will meditate in the forest and that will be better. Maybe in the initial days it will sound good because there is nobody to distract you. But eventually your mind and its old vasanas will come up. And they will bother you and trouble you. How many people I have seen, they have become monks and then they given up monkhood after some time. Because it was not their cup of tea. So this is how I have seen a lot of people go in and out. And some are those Donga Sanyasulu Swami used to say, they are fake sadhus. They just become sadhus because they want to run away from their problems in the world. But where will you run away to? Your mind is still with you. Body may shift. Body may change the place and location. But mind can always go back to its old ways. So how do you escape that? So all this is saying, the samadhi and non-samadhi, all this is also actions only. And I am beyond that now. I am established in this perfect idea that I am the self which is changeless. And so I don't need to do anything. Vyavahara is not needed anymore for me to attain that state. So this is for those, as I said, the spiritual extremists who the moment read something and say, now I have to attain samadhi, I have to explain the supreme bliss. And immediately they start making all the changes on the outside. But changes on the outside may help you initially, but that is not the ultimate, is what Janaka is saying. See, he is a king. Can he afford to just shut down the kingdom or resign from kingship and walk away? He cannot. He has people dependent on him. He has to understand that he has responsibilities. So he cannot take the path of recluse. That was there, but Bharata did that because he finished all his duties. He distributed the kingdom amongst his children, gave them responsibilities. Then in Vanaprastha, he went to the forest. But Janaka is still the king. He has to run the kingdom. What can he do? So he says that necessity of running away to another place and trying to attain samadhi, all this is also gone from my mind. Earlier I used to think like that perhaps, but now not necessary. That is what I keep saying. Guna sannyasa is required, karma sannyasa is not required. Karma sannyasa means giving up action. Guna sannyasa means giving up the desire, the desire for it, the deep underlying desires for it. So this is how this story comes, and I have mentioned that story in the next pages about the story of Hemalekha and Hemachuda, that you can read. I'll go to the next one, 12.4, shloka number 4 on page 132. It says, Heyo padeya virahat evam harsha vishadayoho abhavadadya he brahman evam eva ahamastitaha. He says, see, heya upadeya. What is heya? Giving up. Upadeya, collecting. Both ideas are gone. Virahat, I have given up the idea of collecting or rejecting. Some people are always busy amassing things, accumulating things. Why they are doing it also, they don't know. All the money that they accumulate, they don't even know that they can spend or not. Yesterday I was reading one of the biggest billionaires of our country. It seems if he spends $1 million every day, even then he will take 292 years to finish all his wealth as on today. But it's not that he's accumulating for his own enjoyment. It is a part of whatever business. But the idea is that sometimes we just go on accumulating, amassing. We don't even know why we are doing. So that idea of either I don't want it or I want it, both I have given up. He says, whatever comes, as I said, as per the divine decree, as per my Purujanma good karmas, as per whatever I am supposed to get, I am here to accept and be peaceful. I am not here to desire for something or not desire for something. Both ideas don't exist. See, when you say, I want God, you are simultaneously also saying, I don't want the world. He says, both don't exist for me. Neither I want God or I don't want the world. I am I, that's it. I am doing what I have got to do. God, world, everything is one and the same that I have understood. World is just a vikara of God, Supreme Brahman, like the waves on the ocean. That's all is the existence of the world. Why is the need for me to run behind it, run away from it? Both are not required. Heya upadeya, this idea of collecting and not accepting, both are over for me. So also harsha vishadayoho, happiness and sorrows are also gone. Because when you get what you like, you become happy. When you don't get what you like, you become sad. Wanting to get something or not get something itself has disappeared. Then naturally the consequential sorrow or happiness also has disappeared from my mind. This is what he is saying. All this has happened to me by your grace, by your knowledge. Abhava dadya he brahman eva me vahamastitaha. Because of the abhava means non-presence, because of the absence of these ideas of my earlier times, of collecting, storing, amassing or rejecting, and also becoming happy or becoming sad, like the lower bird which eats berries, sweet and bitter, and becomes happy and sad. All these are over for me, abhava. Now it's gone for me. Hey Brahman, here Brahman means hey Brahmana, hey wise one, O Ashtavakra. Now I am established in that steady state of my consciousness. Whatever comes by virtue of divine will, I accept it. Whatever doesn't come, let it be so. I am not affected by it. So this is how you be happy. When I say be happy, this is what I mean. This is the effort that you have to put to be okay with anything. Sab chalta hai. Whatever comes is fine. That kind of ability one must develop. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, he says, Ananyas chintayanto mam ye jana paryupasate tesham nityabhiyuktanam yogakshemam vahamyaham. I will look after everything. Yogakshema, that is what is heyopadeya. Yogakshema. First collect everything, then protect everything. That is all Yogakshema we do all the time. First we buy a car, then we buy an insurance. Then we buy a house, then we buy an insurance to protect it. Everything. Why? Because our idea to secure ourselves with these things, to protect ourselves. I have given up all these ideas, he says. It doesn't mean that Janaka will not buy an insurance. You better buy insurance, that's okay. But the idea of attaching yourself or desiring for things is gone. As long as it is there, it is there. If it's not there, it is not there. But when Ananyas Chintayanto Mam, the one who is constantly absorbed, the idea is that Supreme Self, the God which sits all above all these forms and names, such a God is very kind and compassionate if you are always connected to that Self, Supreme Self. Then you don't have to worry about anything, because whatever comes, you will be satisfied. You don't insist why it's not in a silver platter, why it's not this way, that way. Nothing. Whatever comes, you take it and you are happy. That equanimity comes to you. This is what has come to him. And that is what Krishna means. Think of nothing else other than me means think of yourself as of the self. Then this idea of yoga kshema, I want to protect and preserve, is not going to affect you at all. Whatever comes is fine, whatever goes is also fine. There's a story that one lady was there. She had 2 children and her husband was a merchant. So he had gone out for trades, his business. And that time people will travel overseas and then come back after a long time. During this time, it so happened that a lightning struck both the kids when they were playing, and then both of them died. When they passed away, she had no choice but to bury them and be done with it. But after many days, when the husband returned, the first thing he asked is, where are the children, the 2 boys? I will bring them, I will talk to you about it. You just have your shower, you have your food, you just return from a long voyage. So she kind of comforts him. And he finishes all that, he finishes his dinner, meals, and he asks, what about the children? What happened? He said, before that you have to answer a question for me. I'm in a dilemma. So he asks, what is the problem? Then she says, once upon a time, a friend of mine gave me 2 jewels to keep with me as in my custody as a trustee. Yesterday we heard trusteeship in the speech by the recipient of the award. So keep it, he said that I have to keep in my care. But one day I am supposed to return the jewels back to my friend, isn't it? He says, yes, of course, it is not yours. How can you not return? You will be a thief if you do not return. So he said, my friend came and asked me for the jewels back. I did not like giving it back. Oh, no, that is not right at all, husband said. You must give it back to the friend. Then she says, that is what I did. I returned those 2 precious jewels to the friend who came to take it back. That's the right thing you did. Then she explains, God gave us 2 children. They were in our custody. One day God came and took them away. And I was hesitant, but now I know that I did not do wrong. I allowed them to go back to God. I let them go. Then he understood and didn't ask any further questions on children. That clarity, everything God has given us. As long as we are supposed to enjoy it, we enjoy it. When it's done, we should be able to overcome that, let go. If we cannot do and get attached to things, then we are thieves. We are stealing away somebody else's property. We are keeping somebody else's wealth in our custody and we are not returning it. It is not right. So everything that God has given is to be considered as a gift for our usage, but we have to return it. That is why I said the other day, it's a night shelter, it's a hotel. You come here, you stay, you enjoy the hotel, no problem. You use the dining hall, you use the facilities, you do sleep, you have a shower. But the next morning you have to leave and you can't even take one spoon or a fork with you. Otherwise you will be called a thief. That is how it is. I saw some article that some tourists, in some airport, when they opened their suitcases, they found so much of hotel cutlery, towels, and bed sheets and pillow covers, because they were stealing it all from the hotel and taking it with them to the next country. That became a joke. So people will laugh at you if you do that. Likewise, all that you're enjoying today, your body, your relations, your wealth, these are all God-given. If God decides to take it away, you shouldn't be crying over it. You should let go happily. Is that possible at all? Only for people like Janaka, only for Gyanis, who do not have the idea of accumulating heya and upadaya, which is giving up. I told our people, do uncha vritti. You know uncha vritti? Uncha vritti is you go around singing the glory of God in the ashram, and all the ashramites, especially the householders, they must come out of their homes and give them something like fruit or something that they can eat for that day. They shouldn't be storing it. What they get that day, they must cook, eat and finish. That was our old traditional culture of Gurukulas. All the children would go out street to street, Bhiksham Dehi, collect whatever they get from householders, because householders were supposed to give them charity, That is householder's duty, because they have to bring up the next generation. But the Gurukulas were not supposed to charge a rupee. All schools were free. So then how does the school run if it is not taking fees like in today's times? Through charity, generosity. And how much charity can you take? Only that which will last you for that day. Somebody gives you gold or diamonds and silver, you're not supposed to take. You must refuse it. You must say, give me something that I can eat today. My brothers in the school can eat today. Our teachers can eat today. And tomorrow I'll come again to ask for tomorrow's requirement. But today's requirement is all that I need. Such clarity. No idea of accumulating it for tomorrow and day after and the day after and 1 year later, 10 years later and the retirement. Nobody thought. Sometimes I feel the responsibility, like Janaka must feel the responsibility of the king. Not get overtly bothered, but he must put efforts as a king. If he says, no, everything is illusion, anyway, a magic show, tomorrow people will in the kingdom are suppose fighting with each other, an enemy attacks you, or there is a drought or a famine, people are sick and there is sickness, a disease, a pandemic. Is the king not supposed to act? Must act. Can't sit on the chair and say, I learned from Ashtavakra Gita and I believe everything is illusion, who dies, who lives. We cannot say that. That is the beauty of Ashtavakra. It will make you feel perfectly aligned with the Supreme Self, at the same time keep you active in doing what needs to be done. That's it. Many people take spirituality as an excuse to not do things. Many people understand spirituality wrongly, that it is not doing things. No, spiritual people are active and doing what they require to do without the botheration of doing it. That's all the difference. As I said, between spiritual and worldly people is just the attitude which is different. That's it. Nothing else is different. They also wear the same clothes, eat the same food, live the same life, but the attitude with which we do is totally different. That's all you will achieve after Ashtavakra Gita classes. If you do anything else other than this, go off and shave off your head and leave the ashram and go off to some Himalayas and join this group of mendicants, I will say you haven't understood Ashtavakra Gita entirety. You have understood some, but not truly. But half knowledge is dangerous. So it's better that you understand it fully. And the full understanding is the attitude changes. I am not the owner of anything. I am not the doer of anything. I am not the enjoyer of anything. Everything is divine. But nevertheless, as long as I am in this body with a duty, I must discharge my duties to the best of whatever possible abilities I have that God has bestowed upon me. And that is how things will happen. This is the model on which we work. Sometimes it's scary for people when they look at it. They're saying that this is suicidal. What about next month? If nothing comes, I said, if God decides that none of us should eat, we won't eat next month. That's it. If God decides none of this should work, we won't work. That is up to God. What am I to decide? No, but you are the in charge. I said, I am instrument. I am really the instrument. In charge is elsewhere. I am an instrument who is just executing the God's command. That's it. Why should I bother? But you are only divine, isn't it? You know that you are divine. I told, yes, Jiva Prajna, Daiva Prajna, two Prajnas everybody has. The human consciousness and the divine consciousness. If you ask me from the human consciousness, if I have to reply, I will call myself an instrument of divine. If divine consciousness is what I have to reply, I tell yes. Everything is me, I am everything. That's in Sarva Bhutestu Chatmanam Sarva Bhutani Chatmani. I am only in all are in me. That is all will be the attitude. As Hanuman replied very clearly and cleverly to Rama. And Sri Rama asked Hanuman, who are you? He didn't say I am Hanuman, son of Anjana and things like that. He just said, Deha bhavena dasoham. Jiva bhavena twadam shakaha. Atma bhavena tvamevaham. Iti me nishchita matihi. This is my conviction that when I think I am the body, I am your servant. When I think I am the soul, Jiva, I am a part and parcel of you. I am a spark of you. When I think I am the Supreme Self, I and you are one. There is no difference. That's what Jesus said. I am the messenger of God. Then I am the son of God. Then I and my Father are one. What does he mean by that? There are three states of our understanding and existence. The lowest is the body that we can understand. And we have to use the body to do things. So when we use the body, we consider ourselves as servants of God. When we think, we are the mind. And the second part is the mind. When you identify yourself with the jiva, then you say, I am a part and parcel of you. You are the ocean, I am the river. That's all is the difference. But water is same. When you go to the Atma Bhava, you say you and I are one and the same. So that is the idea of body, mind and consciousness. What is Janaka saying? All these I have given up. And Abhavadya, in today's time, I am completely settled, I am completely established. So I do not need to worry about what I have gained, what I have lost in the process, how much I have, how much I do not have. Those ideas don't bother me anymore. The next shloka, 12.5, continues in the same tone. What is the next thing we do? Ashrama dharmas we know. So he says ashrama and ashramam. Ashramam and anashramam. Dhyanam chitta svikruta varjanam. Vikalpam mama vikshayete eva meva hamastitaha. He says this idea of ashrama dharma. Now let us talk about the ashrama dharmas. What is ashrama dharma? Brahmacharya ashrama, grihastha ashrama, vanaprastha ashrama and sannyasa ashrama. Our life is divided into 4 phases. Brahmacharya ashrama is the student life. Grihastha ashrama is the life of the householder. Vanaprastha ashrama is the life of a renunciate. And fourth is the sannyasa ashrama, that of a dispassionate, detached person who has given up everything. So we were supposed to spend a quarter of our life learning, then quarter of our life in earning and raising a family, then quarter of our life in doing social service away from the family, considering all as our family. And finally, the last quarter we are supposed to give up everything, only pursue God. Social service also is not needed. Just self-contemplation on the self is enough. That was the method. So he says these methods are for those who still believe that they are different from the self. So they have to go through the process. This whole idea of ashrama and anashrama, am I in this ashram or that ashram? For which sake all this thinking and meditation happens. For chitta svikruta varjanam, to be accepted or rejected by the mind, we meditate on things. To accept the mind or to reject the mind, or even to accept an idea or reject the idea. That brahmacharya is right or grihastha is right, vanaprastha is right. All these are over for me. I have established whichever ashram dharma I am in, I am the same self. See, ultimately why we put this ashrama dharma, so that at the end of the journey you are able to realize the self. That is the whole idea. But he says, I have already realized the self, then where is the need for me to worry about which ashram dharma I am in, whether I am following it correctly, not correctly? How does it matter? You have attained what you needed to attain out of it. Now how does it matter? Vikalpam mama vikshete. All these are just vikalpas, choices that we have to make in life. Choices happen. Based on situations, time, place, circumstances, we make choices. So in which ashram we are, that is our choice. Or whether this thought is right, that thought is wrong, these are all choices that we continuously make as a part of our life. I have analyzed this, understood this, and I am beyond this now. I am not here consciously trying to make a choice or consciously not making a choice. Whatever is coming by the way of destiny, I am okay with it. Suppose I was born in a normal family, but suddenly like Adi Shankaracharya, moved on to become sannyasi. He didn't follow any ashrama dharma. Somebody will go and say, why you are not following ashrama dharma? This is a scriptural injunction. What should he say? Now I have already graduated. There are children at 12 or 13 years, they finish their post-graduation, PhDs. For that person, if you go and tell, no, you did not go to the regular school, where is your 10th class mark sheet, where is your... He'll say, what is the need? You ask me for the knowledge. I have the knowledge. The lakir ke fakir, they say, in Hindi. The rule book people, there are sticklers. They don't understand anything. Well, somebody has already understood the subject. What is the need for him to repeat like that? So he says, I have gone beyond all this idea. You are a king, you are supposed to behave this way, you are this. Okay, I will behave whatever is come by the way of my process of life, I will do that. But I am not attached to any of these things. These are just thoughts and choices that we make in life based on our circumstances, but nothing more than that. Not get stuck with that. Like a Shankaracharya can move from brahmacharya to sannyasa, no problem. He doesn't have to go to the two in between. As I was mentioning some time back when Bhagavan was there, he told me, you become a sannyasi. I told my mother, Bhagavan has told me to become a sannyasi, and she became very upset. She told the same logic. Ashrama dharma we have to follow, no? Brahmacharya, grihastha, vanaprastha and sannyasa. Then I told Bhagavan, my mother is arguing that you have to follow ashrama dharmas, then why this sudden jump? Then he said, what is the age of your mother? I said, she is 60 something that time. Then he told, which ashram dharma she should be in? So he said, as per this rule, 25 years brahmacharya, 25 years grihastha, 25 years vanaprastha. So 50 to 75 Vanaprastha. Vanaprastha means she should live in the forest, not in the house. Ask her if she is following ashrama dharma, only then she has the right to tell you to follow. That's how he put the ball in her court. And then he told me, see, what are these ashram dharmas for? To attain God, to realize the self. And if you are already reaching faster, why you need to go through it? Just because there is a rule. Not rules apply to those who are below the rules. There are some who are above the rules. How? Like the queen or the king or the prime minister or president, when they come, all the signals open. No traffic rules for them. But for ordinary, every signal you have to stop and wait for the green signal to move forward. Likewise, he said, for pursuit of God, anything can be given up. If you are capable of directly going to the ultimate final stage of Ashtama Dharma, which is sannyasa, so be it. How does it matter? At the end, goal is to attain God. Right? Goal is not to enjoy the world on the way to God. Those who cannot directly pursue God, they have other desires and distractions. For them, okay, enjoy some world also on the way as you reach God, some incentive for your mind. But if you don't need that incentive, you can directly go to God. Why you need to enjoy the world on the way? So he told, not necessary. It's like children who are very smart, they get double promotion. They finish their schooling faster. Your teacher says he's very intelligent, he can be directly taken to 4th class instead of 3rd class after the 2nd. So we do that. Like that, he said, this is like double promotion for you. Directly you go to sannyas dharma, you don't have to go to grihastha, vanaprastha and all that. So the idea is that these are also vikalpas only. Choice. If you don't need them, why should you go through it is the question. And how does it matter whether you're in which dharma if you are completely absorbed in the self? How does it matter? So that is what he's saying. I have grown beyond all these ideas of dharma, adharma, ashrama and chitta svikriti or varjana. All these are over for me. I have analyzed thoroughly. These are just choices in the mind, but they are all limited to mind only. I have gone into the other state, higher state of the self. And I don't need to go through these step by step. I've already reached the peak. Some people are like that, who are faster and smarter. They go faster. So that is what it is. And that is what even Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita. See, when he says, Sarvadharman parityajya, mamekam sharanam vraja, aham tvam sarva papebhyo mokshayishyami mashucha. Whatever you have done, not done, achieved, not achieved, good, bad, everything I will take care of. Don't worry. Just give up the idea of I am the doer, I am the enjoyer, I have action, I have reactions. Sarva dharman. Give up this idea of doership and duty and just surrender to me. Surrender to me again, as I said, it's not the Krishna, physical Krishna that he is referring every time. He always refers to the highest supreme self. If you are abiding in that highest supreme self, this dharma don't apply to you. So give up all these ideas. So papa punya also don't apply to you because you are abiding in the higher self. So you just stay like that. In that self you be merged. When you say sharanam, vraja, come and take refuge means like river takes refuge in the sea, in the ocean. Is there a different river and a different sea once they merge? Can you separate the waters? You can't. River becomes the sea. Once you have become the sea, where is the need of doing this post-mortem? Which route you took and came? Why did you not take the east route? Why did you take the west route? Forget all this. I have become the sea. That is what I was supposed to be. Now does it matter which route I came from? Likewise. I have attained the self. Now where is the question of dharma, adharma, papa, punya? None of these apply or none of these appeal to me anymore. Janaka is very, very clear in his mind. So clearly and nicely he explains to Ashtavakra that, oh Guru Brahman, I have understood this. I have established in that. Now this idea of all these ashrama, anashrama, everything is over for me. What is to be rejected, what is to be accepted. These are all choices that we make in life. It has nothing to do with the self. Self is always permanent, steady and ever, not changing. Next sloka is 12.6. It says, in similar ideas, karma anushtanam agyanat yathaivo paramas tatha buddhva samyak idam tattvam eva mevaham which means karma anushtana, karma kandis are there, ritualistic, action oriented, highly workaholic type people. For them, they have to keep doing something or the other. Then only they feel fulfilled. Many people are there, they get into rituals. They become so attached to those rituals that even if God is standing in front of you, they'll say, no, first let me finish the ritual. They cannot think beyond their rituals and their rites. And they get stuck with it. Karma anusthana, they get stuck with it. No, for attaining liberation, I must do 1008 times of chanting of this, only then. But God says, don't worry, I am giving you liberation. No, 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 I have to do 1008 times. It's written. Don't give liberation still. I have to finish this. Some people are like that. One is tell a story of a Guruji who comes walking in hot sun, and our Shishya disciple is sitting inside and doing puja to the Guru's padukas. And the Guru comes and the Shishya says, wait, I'll come and attend to you. First, let me finish your puja of the padukas. But I am standing here in hot sun, offer me some water, some seat. No, wait, I'll finish the puja, then I'll come and attend to you. Whose puja are you doing? For what sake are you doing is the question. But they are sticklers. They just are get so stuck in the doing, they don't even know why they are doing. They just blindly, like machines, they keep doing things. I have seen a lot of people like that. They just want to do. What is the purpose of it? No idea. They keep doing. Doing is their attachment. So that karma anusthana, such doing is ajnana, because of ignorance only. Then also, uparamas tatha, also to withdraw from doing. I don't want to do anything. Why? Everything is illusion. What is the use? This, that. That excuse also these people who give are fools only, ignorant people only. The doing something or not doing something do not apply to the self, people with self. Whatever comes their way, they execute it. That's it. Wanting to do with attachment or wanting to detach from doing, this both wanting is not there in their lives. That is the idea of the self. It's quite subtle actually. It is not easy to grasp it. You have to experience some of it at least once in a while. Then how you can just remain in your steady state, and whatever comes, you just carry out for the day and be happy. And if it doesn't come your way, you don't have desire. You don't worry why I was not given this to do. That also does not occur to you. That's insecurity, the sense of wanting to be seen and known for something, wanting to be acknowledged and recognized. None of these exist in these people with this idea of self. If you are like these ignorant people, what Janaka is saying, you will get too busy with actions and forget spirituality, or you will become too spiritual in your approach and forget actions. Because these people are half-baked. They are not mature in their spiritual understanding. That's why they behave like this, extremist, swing this way or that way. But the real person who has understood that will remain steady. What work needs to be done, they will do the work. When meditation needs to be done, they will do that also. But these are vagaries of the mind are not there. Or desire or wanting to be doing or not doing is not there. Whatever comes their way, that is how they are satisfied doing whatever is required to be done. And buddha samyak idam tattvam. I have completely, samyak means completely understood this is the principle. That some people are ignorant, so they get into too much action without understanding why. And some people are foolish, because of which they don't want to engage in action, saying actions will bind me and all these things. Both I have understood completely. These are all just ways of the mind. This is the tattva. I have understood that. Evameva hamastita. Therefore, I am established now. Earlier, I was also like that, but now I am no more like that. So, a lot of youngsters gave up religion, philosophy, spirituality, because they found this does not make sense to them. And I keep telling our youngsters, this young generation which is coming up now, the Gen Z and X, A, Alpha and all that, these people are very curious and questioning kinds. See, generation after generation, cultures change. And this generation is very questioning. They are very, very particular that they should know the answer. Only then they will follow. You can't just shush them and say, do this, otherwise you will be punished. They may follow under their control, but once they are out of your control, they will not. So everywhere, I went to Italy. In Padova, one place is there. Huge, beautiful churches. And medieval time churches, in 11th century, 12th century, huge churches. I said, my God, these are wonderful churches. Who comes? He said, but nobody comes today. Empty. I said, why? Because nobody believes in all this religion and spirituality. But I said, in those times when population was much less, you built such huge churches. And today when the population is so much more, these churches are empty. In the US, I saw they have become bed and breakfast. Because seminaries were there, rooms are there, bathrooms are there, hall is there. They turned them into motels and bars and pubs. Why? Because nobody goes to the church. I asked why. Because they don't understand why should we go. That faith has disappeared because we have not been able to explain to them our faith. Because faith by nature itself demands that you believe first and experience later. But this generation says, first you prove it to me, then I will believe you. And that's not possible in religion and spirituality. But at least whatever you ask them to do, you should give some logic behind it. If you don't give the logic, then this generation will run away. And which is not good for anybody. Because if you are separated from God, you are not going to lead a good life. You will lead an immoral life. You will lead a life of, contamination, corruption. Because you have no faith and love for God. Daiva priti, papa bhiti, sanganiti. So our idea is that to teach our children, yes, you do rituals, but you understand the logic behind it. Some of it you cannot scientifically at that point in time quantify and prove. But if you keep your faith good enough time, eventually you will be able to grasp the inner meaning of it. Like one day a child came and said, I don't want to go to temple because God is everywhere, then why should I go to temple? That was his logic. Then I had to explain that yes, God is everywhere. But in some places his presence is stronger. We feel it stronger. Like you have internet everywhere, but in your house the internet is strongest in your bedroom. Why? Because the router is there. So it is strong there and you are able to watch all your videos on your phone, isn't it? He said yes. Likewise, temples are like those towers, like our signal towers, and where you get strong signal of God. So you should go to temple. Only then he went to the temple. But when he grows up, he'll realize, yes, I feel different in a temple compared to my bedroom or compared to my home altar. God is everywhere. Yes, if you become a jnani, it doesn't matter. When Guru Nanak Dev was traveling, it seems, he went and sat under a tree and his feet were facing the shrine. So somebody came running saying, how could you show your feet to God? He said, tell me where God is not there, I will put my feet in that direction. He is a jnani, he knows this stupidity is not going to work. Of course, for respect, he might have changed his position. But the idea is that if their only logic is that God is sitting there, therefore don't show your feet to God, then where should I put my feet? Because God is everywhere, isn't it? That jnani says is okay. But a child saying without understanding is not okay. Child needs to be explained. See, this is how it works. Many of these generation people, the present ones, the woke generation, they question logic like this. Once they become jnani and they question, I have no problem. I'll say, put your feet anywhere, including on your head, I have no problem. Because God is everywhere, so you can't escape God. But without having experienced it, you start questioning like this, where God is everywhere, then why I should be doing this ritual? Why should I be there? Everything is supposed to be Maya and illusion. Why should I be following that? But all that is right. When you want to gratify yourself, you want to enjoy your senses, that time where is the logic, I ask them. You are also God. Why are you behaving like this then? You shouldn't be behaving. That time they have no answers. But if you tell them from outside, why are you doing this? Why are you doing that? Why you should do this, you should do that? They'll question everything. But unfortunately, generation has become like that. So in our school, that's why from early on, we start teaching them things and then try to explain the logic of it, why it is done. Then hopefully as they grow, they will be able to experience it at some point in time. And then their faith will get confirmed. A similar shloka from our Bhagavad Gita says, no, karmanyavadikaraste ma phaleshu. Do your action, you do your duty, what you have got to do, without the desire for the outcome. This is what it is. Janaka is saying, this karma anusthana or uparmeti, or withdrawing from karma, both are out of ignorance only. I want to do, I don't want to do. Both are ignorance only. Whatever needs to be done should be done, that's it. And you are not even the doer in the first place. Don't imagine your importance. The next shloka is 12.7, which says, Achintyam chintyamanopi chintarupam bhajatyasau tyaktva tadbhavanam tasmat evamevaham astitaha. Here what it says, beautiful, is very deep shloka. It says, Achintyam chintyamanaha. God is unthinkable. You cannot think God. In the sense, in our scripture, when we say the self, the supreme self, Brahman, cannot be understood through the mind, right? Yato vacho nivartante aprapya manasasaha. That from where the words return, and that which cannot be comprehended by mind, that is the self, they say. Now, what tools do we have to experience anything in the world? Our body or our mind? With that we experience the world, either through physical touch, taste, smell, whatever 5 senses, or by intellectual analysis. We understand things. By rule, by definition, the scripture says God is beyond both. these tools don't work. It's like trying to drink soup with a fork. It won't work. So it won't work. You apply body mind to understand. He's achintya. The definition of God is achintya, means unthinkable, cannot be thought in any particular way. Then what about all these gods sitting on the altars and everywhere in our shrines? What are these gods then? No, they are our imagination of them, but they are beyond imagination. That is how our scriptures explain. I will go much deeper. So he says, achintya tyam chintyamanopi chinta rupam bhajatyasau. All this which we see as forms, these are nothing but our thoughts manifesting as those names and forms. Because the real unthinkable cannot be thought in any which ways. He says achintya. So even if you are able to attempt to think of it in a certain way, the divine in a certain way, it is unnatural, it is not true. It is merely a thought, it is not reality. It's like somebody who has never seen his mother. Let's say his mother passed away while delivering the baby. Now when he grows up, he'll have an imagination of mother based on other mothers that he sees in the society. Oh, mothers would be like this, mothers would behave like this, mothers would do things like this. So he'll develop his imagination. But can he ever really understand what his mother would have been like? No, like that, we imagine divine to be a certain way. Some people like feminine form of divinity, they worship the divine as a feminine form. Shaktiyas are there, Shakti worshippers are there. Some people think of divine as a male, they worship as male. In that male also there could be Shiva, there could be Vishnu, there could be Brahma, there could be Krishna, there could be Rama or Jesus or Buddha or whoever saints and prophets that you can think of. That's your imagination that God would be like this. Because we know some 2-3 things about God. He's very compassionate, loving, kind, and forgiving. So anybody who is behaving like that, we will attribute that to some kind of a God. So that is how God's form. So he says, thinking of something which is unthinkable is after all a thought, it is not reality. To become too attached to that thought is not correct. Is not correct. All the fanaticism is because of these attachments only. My God only is the God. Other gods are no gods. Because I know my God is the best. Fights. So he says, Tyaktva tadbhavanam, giving up this kind of, in a way, peculiarity or particularity of such a way God should be there and another way it can't be, I have become free. Because I understood God is beyond body and mind, it has to be an experience. God has to be an experience. I keep saying God is not an experiment, God is an experience. You try whatever of the world, you cannot get God. God is an experience that should happen to you because of your purity, your sincerity, your longing for God. That has to happen to you. It doesn't happen otherwise. So he's saying that all this while I thought God would be like this, God should be like this, God cannot be like that, God better be like this. All these were my ideas. None of this was real. Therefore, now I am established in the self. I have experienced that divinity, which is Nitya Shuddha Buddha Mukta Nirmala Swarupinam, as we say. It is free, it is ever pure, it is ever there, steady, Shashwata. I have experienced that feeling within. So I know what it is. Therefore, I don't need the support of forms and names anymore. I am free from them. Otherwise, not being free from this form and name causes so much of confusion. We get attached to a particular God and then we cannot accept anybody else and we don't respect also others. Don't accept, fine, but don't be ridicule and disrespect others, right? Because we are so attached to that particular idea of form and name. Now, when the principle you have caught hold of it, you don't need to worry about the form and name. In the sense, when you want to drink water, how does it matter you drank from a golden vessel or a silver vessel or an earthen vessel or a steel vessel? Thirst is quenched by the water and not by the vessels, correct or not? That is the logic. No, but I like the golden tumbler. Okay, fine, then drink from golden tumbler. I don't like the silver tumbler. Don't drink from silver tumbler. If you can afford golden tumbler, go buy one and drink from it. But what is available is silver tumbler. What should I do with it? No, I will not drink at all. I will die thirsty because silver tumbler is not golden tumbler. Then die thirsty, what can I say? People like that, That is why this sloka is important, because the ultimate God is unthinkable. Any thought disturbs the perfect peace, perfect state of existence. That is what Hemaleka said. The gap between the two thoughts is that state of self. The moment any thought comes in the self, the state is lost. The experience of the state is definitely lost at that moment. Absolutely steady, no thought. Thoughtless stage is what your supreme self is like. So is it going to be very blissful? Will I experience some lights and sounds and none of this will happen? If all that is happening, you are still at a lower level only. They are going up still. But when you reach that state, there is nothing there. Absence of sorrow is joy in spirituality. Absence of sorrow is equal to spiritual joy. That's all is the definition of spiritual joy. You don't spiritual joy as something more than what the worldly joys are. No. It is absolutely, there is no sorrow. In worldly joy, the joy will turn into sorrow tomorrow and again into joy next day. In spiritual joy, it remains this joy forever without any sorrow. So if you say, is it a state of exhilaration and some kind of a delirium, some kind of excitement, some kind of otherworldly feelings? No. It's absolute steady state of peace because there is no sorrow. There is no change. Our rishis were very clever. They said, this is a state of ananda, you will experience supreme joy, you should strive for it. Because they knew we have to incentivize these human beings. What makes us do things? Greed or fear. Either because of greed we do things or out of fear we do things. Now in spirituality you can't bring fear. So what is the other thing? Yeah, some fear they bring. If you don't do this, you'll go to hell. They will get fried in hot oil. Then where is the body to fry? I was wondering. If your body is there, you can fry like a pakoda. Where is the body? Garuda Purana has a description of hells. So also many scriptures have what kind of hells, levels are there. Like five-star hotels have levels, like that five-star hells also have. Worser hells will have worser experiences. Anyway, that is one part of the story. That is the fear part of it to drive you to follow spirituality. But our rishis were very smart. They also created the greed part of it. That you will experience 10 times the bliss, 20 times the bliss, 30 times the bliss. It comes that how Ananda Mimamsa comes. What is the quality of the supreme joy of divinity? It says is 10 to the power 20 times the human joy. And what is human joy? He should be young forever. He should own the whole earth, all the wealth on the earth. He should be a learned one. He should be very determined and strong. Then it is equal to 1 unit of human joy. Multiplied 10 to the power 20 times, that is divine joy, it says. And in between there are various kinds of joy. These are just incentivization. Because our minds are greedy by nature. What will I get out of it? You will get 10 to the power 20 times of this joy. Okay, then I will practice. So these are all ideas, but the real truth is it is an absolute steady state of peace. And people say, no, I am already peaceful. Why I need to follow spirituality? Today you are peaceful. Your life will change tomorrow. I went to somewhere, simply they were arguing for the sake of arguing. I don't need your spirituality, they told me. I told, why? What happened? He said, I am already peaceful. I am happy in my life. I am doing well. I don't need anybody says anything. I told, good. But tell me whether this is going to be the way of your life for the next 100 years or whatever years you live. Will you be able to maintain this state? If you can, then definitely you don't need God, you don't need religion, you don't need spirituality. But I know this is not going to be that way. Today you are healthy, young, you are earning well, you have good education, all good friends, good relations, no problem, no issues. Today you're saying, I don't want God, I don't need God, I don't need these lectures. But tomorrow the situation will change. Then you will come asking, I need God, I want spirituality. So before such a day comes, learn these things so that in those days also you can remain steady and be at peace. So that is why these spiritual thoughts are very important. And he says, even trying to think and imagine and create qualities and attributes out of the unthinkable divinity is stupidity. It's stupidity. And then getting attached to that name and form and way of life and that religion and that philosophy and that particular school of thought, it's also stupidity. And then we all fight with each other. I mentioned many religious speakers, spiritual leaders came on a platform. Their whole discussion was unity of religion, how to create more unity. So after the discussion, they concluded there is only one God and everybody was happy. The meeting concluded and as they were about to go again, the fight started. So the main person who had organized, he asked, just now we concluded that there is only one God, then what is the fight here for? They said, now we want to know which one God is the real God, our God or their God. Because we are stuck to that idea of forms and names. We cannot overcome that as human beings. So he has overcome all that. Now I have explained some shlokas here, which are from the Drisha Viveka, which I have already explained earlier. Some few shlokas I have picked up from Narada Bhakti Sutras. They are very beautiful, 138, 139. Narada Bhakti Sutra says, how should a devotee be? And the first sloka, 19th sukta, it says, Tadarpita akhila charata tadvismarane param vyakulateti. All things should be done by the devotee for that sake. Whose sake? For the divine's sake. And if you forgets that divinity, there should be restlessness in you. Now again, don't go back by the form and name. Simply the idea that when you are not abiding in that self, you should be restless. It's like fish out of water you should feel. So when you are not in the self, you lose that peace and you will feel restless. Why so much of restlessness in the world? So much of anger, frustration, violence, road rage, vandalism, terrorism, gun violence. Because they are not at rest, they are not at peace, because they have deviated from their original state of peace and equanimity, which is the state of godhood. That is why all the anger and frustration and wars and abuse and everything. Similarly, he explains the Gopikas of Brij were like that. Yatha Brajagopika Nam. How should one devotee be? Like the Gopikas of the Brij, who are always immersed in the thought of Krishna. Everything they did was for Krishna's sake. Again, you'll go back and think, because Krishna was so attractive, beautiful, just now you said don't be attracted to name and form, and now you are giving us the opposite lesson that be like Gopikas who are so attached to Krishna. No, next shloka, next sutra explains that. He says, Tatrapi na Mahatma Jnanam Vismrit Apavadaha. He says, in there also, if one is not aware of the divinity of Krishna, not the physical body of Krishna, but the actual self that Krishna represented, that would be wrong. In Gopika's case, what happened? They would lose that sense of body consciousness only in front of Krishna. They would forget that they are women and he is a man. That whole identity of the body disappeared in his presence. That was the power of that presence. So they said, when you love somebody like Krishna or divine and forget that he is actually the no form, no name, supreme self, then that is wrong. But Gopikas were not like that. They appeared to be becoming like that they used to think we are women, he is a man, and we are attracted by him and we are dancing around him. No. The next one also says, Tadvihinam jaranam iva. If you forget the original quality of the divinity as supreme self and not the body mind, then it is like you are married to somebody and you are loving illicitly somebody else. Jaranam. Your illicit affair with somebody else. It means you are loving the body and not the self. That would be wrong, it says. And Gopikas knew that Krishna is the self and they are also the self. But yet they were longing for his presence because that experience happened to them in his presence. Like a piece of iron starts behaving like a magnet in a magnet's presence. Both are magnets only. One is a magnet that is expressing magnetism. The other has a latent potency of being a magnet. But it's not able to show its magnetism because it's little scattered and disoriented. But when it comes in the presence of another magnet, it also gets magnetized. It behaves like a magnet. So Gopikas were so pure that the moment they were in the presence of Krishna, they could experience the self just as Krishna. So that is how Narada Bhakti Sutra clarifies. Yes, you should be devotees like Gopikas of the Brij, Krishna's devotees. But remember, don't mistake their devotion as that which was attached to the body and mind of Krishna. They understood much deeper. They knew if we love the body of Krishna without understanding his supreme divinity, we would be like marrying somebody and loving somebody else. That would be illicit, illegitimate. They knew that. So they really knew Krishna as the self alone. I'll take the last shloka so that we finish this chapter. It says, Evameva kritam yena sa kritartho bhavedasau, evameva sabhavo yah sa kritarthi bhavedasau. This is the conclusion of Janaka. He says, Evameva, the one who is like this, who does like this, kritam yena sa kritartho, he has become fulfilled in life, who is living life like this as per the previous shlokas, where he has given up desires for the world, senses, even the idea of samadhi and attaining supreme bliss, all are forms and names of God and accordingly getting attached. All this he has given up. And he is abiding in the self, astita. Such a person has become kritartha, means self-fulfilled. He doesn't need anything else to fulfill him. Purnamada Purnamidam, he's reached the state of completeness. And evameva sabhavo yaha, and whosoever nature is like this, one is to put efforts and be like this. They are also fulfilled. And who have by nature have transformed themselves into beings like this, they are also fully satisfied and they have found fulfillment in life. There is nothing more that they crave for and desire for. That is the amazing part of spirituality. It makes you self-satisfied. You don't need anything else to complete you, make you happy, make you feel fulfilled. So first line says, the one who is able to do this with effort, such a person also is fulfilled. Second, by continuously putting efforts, this becomes one's nature. Such a person is also fulfilled. So whichever way, if you have already attained it, good. If you're not, and putting efforts in by which you're attaining it, so be good. Both ways you must attain, that is what it is saying. That he who acts in this way has fulfilled the very purpose of one's life. I always said purpose of life is God realization. If that has happened, nothing more needs to happen to you. You are already there. That is the beauty of this whole shloka, Brahmaveda Brahmaiva Bhavati, as we say, the one who knows God becomes God. And what is God? This absolute steady state of equanimity is Godhood, without fluctuations. Godhood is not about, can I know what is happening in the future? Can I know people's past? Can I guess what the stock market is going to be tomorrow? Can I cure and heal the sick and poor? These are all powers that may or may not come to you. If it's God's will, it will come to you. If it's not. But what would you attain out of this spiritual effort? This steady state of equanimity which does not fluctuate with time, place, and situations. As I said, absence of sorrow is joy. Absence of darkness is light. Like that you should think. So our rishis just incentivized us and told all these big, big things, just like we motivate our children by promising them chocolates at the end. But the truth is that the steady state of existence that Janaka is talking is everybody's real self. I'll give you one example. Now you are focusing on the sounds that you are hearing, right? For a moment, I'll keep quiet. Just focus on the silence. Just hear the silence is what I'm saying. We'll just take a minute to do that. So I'll stop speaking and you try to hear the silence. Okay. You understand what I'm saying? That silence is the steady state and one can practice to be in that silence. We hear sounds, but we can also hear silence. Our focus has to shift. And that silence is that steady state, and from which sounds emerge, high frequency, low frequency, whatever. But that state is the self, from where thoughts emerge, good, bad thoughts, happy, sad thoughts, ugly, not so ugly, ambitious, selfless. All these are going up and down, up and down. But the steady state of that silence is like the silence of the self. So what should you do every day? That's why do some silent sitting, do some solitude sitting, quiet sitting. And even a thought is a noise, by the way. So that state does not allow even thought. But initially it is difficult, so you focus on your breath. In-going, outgoing breath. That also helps you calm down. But it is so overwhelming. Just imagine this half a minute of this practice. Don't you feel that something has descended on you? Don't you feel something deep has suddenly happened to you? Just half a minute of silence has done this. Imagine if you can sit like this for maybe a few minutes every day. It will ground you, it will anchor you to your divinity. From where you can operate, you can do everything. Keeping your feet grounded, you can do other things. You will not lose your anchoring. So that is why it is very important. These are very beautiful shlokas, and I always say, the gap between the two thoughts, the silence between the two sounds, that is the state of the self. Try to practice that. Try to catch that gap between two thoughts. Catch that sound of silence between two sounds. And you will see that there is, what I'm saying is true. And so our rishis are not saying that silence is going to throw you into some orbit of bliss. It is only telling it will remove all vagaries, because of which you will feel peaceful and steady. That's all. That's the promise. Nothing more than that. They're not promising us a heaven. They're not promising us pleasures of the heaven and beyond. They're not promising us liberation or punishment or nothing. They are just promising us that steadiness in our life, which is everything. If you get that, you get everything. So practice that gap between two thoughts and silence between two sounds. That will help you to understand the scripture better.